Hey, we're back. Community Focus is back. And one of our first guests after this hiatus is Councilman Jerry Dishman. Hi, Jerry. How are you?
How you doing, Roger?
And we're not going to be on public access because there's nothing on public access anymore. So we're going to stream, we're going to put it on YouTube, we're going to put it on Facebook and all that. So probably more people will see it than if we put it on public access. So getting right to it, you are the senior council person. You've been on there how many years?
13 years.
13 years. And you've been president of the city council several times, Muncie City Council. And so you're the vice chair of the Democrat Party, local Democrat Party, right?
Yes.
And you've been, what, 4 mayors you've been with? Name them.
Dan Cannon, Sharon McShirley, Dennis Tyler, and Dan Rittenhour.
And wow, you've been around a little while. So you've outlasted about everybody that you started with. So tell us about your political career. What did you get involved in all this?
Well, I got involved because I was told to shut up and sit down at a council meeting. So I got involved.
Really?
I got involved. And
That used to happen a lot to people.
Anyway, since I've been on there, I've never, when I was the president of the Muncie City Council, I'd never ever told anybody to shut up and sit down. I've always given them the time they needed to talk. And I just try to be courteous as I can to people.
Good for you. So what district are you in now?
I'm in District 5.
District 5. And that is?
It consists of from Weiser to Reagan Road and from Broadway to Wheeling.
I see.
And some of the Ball State area.
Good, good. I remember at one time this over here in Morningside was part of your district.
Yes.
And they redistricted that back in the day.
Yeah. I regret that, but yeah, that was beyond my control.
You think they're going to redistrict again one of these days?
Yeah, they're getting ready here in the next couple of months. They'll start their redistricting.
Really? Okay. So what is some of your accomplishments that you've done since you've been involved in all this?
Well, some of the accomplishments is, as a city councilman, I got to try to help, help generate money for the city. And we try to bring businesses into our town. We, over there behind the Sunshine Cafe, we've got the apartment complex back there, which brings in $300,000 a year to our tax base. And we lost Chevy and Borg Warner, so we have to make up the difference. And but we brought a lot of stuff in, like the Mad Jacks and when I say we, Mayor Tyler and his administration, and we brought in the hotel down there for the handicaps, get the training in there, and we
The Marriott.
Yeah, the Marriott, and like I said, we tried to keep the roundabout up down there, and Cannon's Commons down there, kept it up. And another thing that I was a part of when I first started, I helped get Tui Pool started. I was the main vote that got that through. It was a close vote, and I voted for Tui Pool because I think our children needs a place to swim. They don't need to be going out Prairie Creek or way out there to go swim. But that was one of our accomplishments.
That's somebody shot me.
As that bottle. Anyway, there's a lot of things that's come into the district. Like I say, the Mad Jacks is a Purdue campus thing that for entrepreneurs wanting to start their own businesses. I was there at the grand opening and everything, and so far it's been okay. They got brewery, and there the guys started a brewery in there, you know. And
microbrewery.
yeah, yeah. And the hotel, you know, this COVID thing really threw a wrench in all of our gears in this town. You know, you know, it set us back a little bit. But you know, being the people that we are and the council that we have, and hopefully we'll be on the rebound. And like I said, it's the COVID act really took its toll on the restaurants and the small businesses. You know, I work at Pepsi, and I kept working through the COVID, and they paid us extra, but I was a frontline worker, and there was some, you know, a lot of other people that came in and worked through the COVID, and there was some people there at work got the COVID virus, and I'm vaccinated, so I'm thankful I got vaccinated, and like I said, I think we're on the rebound because you're not seeing the people with the mask that we used to have, you know, everybody wearing the mask, but people that's not vaccinated should be wearing them because they could wind up getting the COVID, and
Oscars.
yeah, yeah. But that.
I'm not a masker. Go ahead.
Well, anyway, I don't want to tell nobody to wear a mask or whatever. You know, I just want to do what's right for the people's safety.
The good thing is that the numbers are going down.
Yes.
And most pandemics too, and I said this in the very beginning when this happened, when as soon as they used the word pandemic, I said most pandemics throughout history burn themselves out in about a year and a half, a couple of years or so, even the Black Plague. So hopefully this burns itself out. People, if they want to get vaccinated, fine, you know, whatever, and just hopefully it'll always be there to an extent, like the flu, I think. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but hopefully it just kind of fizzles out and everybody goes back to normal.
Yeah. Back in the day when I was real small and growing up, I had measles shots, and I had the.
I still got the scar.
Yeah, I've got mine too. You know.
Polio.
Yeah, polio.
Smallpox.
And all that.
Yeah.
But you know, we went through it.
We're old.
Yeah, we are. We are.
I'm older than you.
I don't consider myself old. I don't consider you old.
I do.
I don't.
My wife does.
Well, that's her. Anyway, I really don't think we're old. We're just getting better.
Well,
Yeah.
we're still above the ground, so that's good.
Yeah, but you know, getting back to the COVID stuff, you know, we really have a good health department in Delaware County. I want to thank those people for keeping an eye on everything the way they did, and they was just outstanding. I mean, they was telling people hey, this is the number we got to watch what we're doing, or Delaware County is going to be in a and they were excellent. I was really proud of the health department, and like I say, there's a bunch of other things that goes with this COVID that really devastated this town, and I hope we never experience nothing like that again.
Well, in my humble opinion, I think economically, you've seen a lot of businesses close. You've seen a lot of them have to cut back, and now they have a hard time getting help because people are getting paid more to stay home than they was going to work. And when you go down the street, you see now hiring at every place you go, and people are going, I don't want to go to work. I make more money sitting at home than I go to work. Now, in my opinion, that is bad. Yeah. I think people need to get back to work, but some people were affected by that to where they couldn't go to work, and I could see getting help, and some people weren't. That they had they had a job.
Because people don't realize that when you don't have the workforce in your town, businesses won't come to your town because,
That's right.
because you don't have the workforce And I know that when Chevy and Warner Gear was out, they had plenty of people to do the odd jobs and stuff like that. But you know, it's getting where you know, you'll see older people doing the McDonald jobs instead of the younger kids doing the McDonald's, the older people, because they have nowhere else to go.
Right. I worked at Chevy back in the late 70s, early 80s, and I remember one time they just kind of wanted to show us how many people would like to get our jobs. So they was offering up applications, and it caused riots out there. That calling the police and canines and all that. And finally, the guy with the applications just threw them into the air, and people were just fighting over them.
Well, if you remember back in the day, when I mean back in the day, that's probably when I was 5 or 6. You know, you had Ball Brothers, you had Frank's Foundry, you had Indiana Steel, you had Indiana Wire and Steel out there on 32, you had Ford Warner and Chevy, you had all these main factories. Delco, you had all these main factories, and everybody from the South migrated up here. And they got jobs. Because that's how my mom and dad, you know, my mom and dad, my dad's from Monticello, Kentucky, my mom's from Jamestown. So those people came up here to get jobs. And they
Jamestown
got jobs.
must be a huge place, because everybody's from Jamestown.
Well, it used to be, and you know, I've been down there a couple of times, and you know, it's faded out because a lot of people.
They're all up here.
Yeah, they're all up here. Yeah, but they're all good people.
Yeah,
they're all good people.
Yeah,
and I just think that's the way we're going to have to go if we bring jobs back into Muncie. You know, we're going to have to look elsewhere to get people to come to work. You know, we got to get the jobs here first, then get going. And which you know, we got the canning factory out there on Cowan Road in the bypass, and there's a farmer's thing that's going to be in that shell building out there. It's going to be an organic, I think, farmer's thing in that building. And then, like I say, we have some other, you know, other little businesses that came into town, and you still got your little machine shops. I mean, those machine shops took a hit too when the automotive business went down.
Yeah, because they was outsourcing a lot of things to them.
And that about devastated the United States when they started shipping everything to Mexico or
I remember working at Chevy. I think it was '79, and we shared a transfer case with the shop in Newcastle, and my foreman came in and said, "You're going to be shipped to a different department, and we're closing this line down." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because it's going to Mexico." In 1979. Now that's about the time that Ross Perot says, "Listen for that sucking sound."
I remember
it started.
Yeah.
It started then,
I remember when
and
he
just
said that.
kept going, and there went our jobs, and you know, there we go.
In my opinion, they should have had tariffs to get those materials back in here. You know, that they would have kept them here if they had to pay the high tariff to get them back in.
Because they wasn't letting up on the price of vehicles.
No.
And those people down there wasn't making any money. So here we are. But what do you see economic development wise in Muncie?
What do I see?
Yeah.
Well, everything's kind of at a standstill. I mean, you got businesses want to come into your town and get your tax abatements, but some of them want to come in here and that's all they want is your tax abatement. When it's up, they're gone, and I don't agree with that. I agree with giving a business a tax abatement for a new building or new equipment, but you know, when it comes to them, their abatements over with, they want to hightail downtown. And I don't go for that. I mean, I was on the city tax abatement for several years, and we forgave a lot of those when we took the hit on the manufacturing stuff. We forgave a lot of tax abatement because a lot of our manufacturing that was, got tax abatements took a hit, and they couldn't keep the people that they said they would keep. And that's understandable. But when you don't keep what you say you're going to do, you shouldn't get a tax abatement, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. And I hope it gets better, because the tax abatement is an incentive to get new buildings and hire people, and that's just a good incentive for Muncie.
Well, the good thing is, at least there was a business moved into the mall where Macy's was. What's the name of that place? I was just there the other day.
Buyers Market.
Buyers Market. Yeah, thanks to producer Chris there. Buyers Market. But, you know, the mall is not what it used to be. Unfortunately, I mean, it used to be, there was a lot of hustle bustle there, but hopefully that, I hate to see that go down like Anderson
But if
did.
you remember, the mall caused the downtown area to go out when they went out there.
Mm-hmm.
Now Amazon's causing them to go out.
Yeah,
Everybody's buying
online
online.
buying
Yeah.
has hurt a lot of the,
Yeah.
you know, brick and mortar businesses.
Yeah, and that's something that mall, you know, everybody uses the mall out there. You know, even if they just went out there and walked, you know,
Yeah.
inside in the winter. But
Well, speaking of jobs, and I went out there, I got out there a little early because my times got mixed up. I got out there a little before 2, and there wasn't like anybody at the job fair, and I thought, oh, what's happening here? Well, then I come back through, and the people were there. It was about 2, a little before, and I thought, back in the day, there would be a lot of people there trying to get jobs. And there wasn't a whole lot of people there. There's a few people coming through, but I remember the day when there would be a crowd of people trying to get jobs.
yeah,
It's
it's
not
just
that way anymore.
it's like say when you give the incentive on their unemployment, you know, why would you want to go get a job?
And unfortunately, we got a lot of people anymore that just, younger people just don't have the work ethic that us old timers did. I mean, we was trying to get a job when we was in high school, and now they're just, a lot of them, you know, you got some that's real go-getters, and you got some that's just not motivated. You know?
Yeah,
So.
where I work at, we have them coming and going every week.
Really?
Every week they work enough to get a paycheck, and they're gone.
So, when you, I remember back before I started doing all this, and I'm going back almost 30 years now, I wouldn't have known, if you'd have asked me what a city councilman done, I wouldn't have known. So explain to the people what the city council, in some bigger cities they call them aldermen, but what does city council actually do? I know you guys watch after money, you come up with resolutions and all that, so.
Yes, and I try to drive around in my district to find out the streets that needs repaired and get them fixed. And then, like I say, you listen, people call you or email you, and I always call everybody back. And I talk to them. I even go to their house and meet with them and try to work out their problem. And I've had a lot of people that's not even in my district call me, and I put them in contact with their council person. But yeah, the council is it's a danged if you do and danged if you don't situation, because if you say this and you say that and you got the public mad at you because you're doing it that way, you're in, it's just one of those things when you're in a no-win situation. You know, you're danged if you do and danged if you don't. And but you try to do what's best for the city.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I do a lot of my basing upon. But I listen to the people too, and you know I've turned some stuff down because the overwhelming of the audience that came was dead against something. So you know, if I think it's legit, I just I vote with them, you know.
Good for you.
But I don't always vote, you know, the way they want me to, but I try to, you know.
I'll tell you, and you mentioned that, and I've had my experience being on the board worked for a few years, and I know what you mean. It's a situation where you can't make everybody happy, and you do the best you can, and you try to, once I got my feet wet and was in there for a while, especially when I became president, I tried to investigate things that was going on, and well, you're handling a lot of the citizens' money and try to be accountable for that. But I know one thing that really was a controversial subject was the fire-based EMS. And I was supportive of that because of experiences I had living out here in Morningside and being cut off by the tracks. And look what problems we have with the trains now.
Yeah.
Every day that one stops halfway through town, it seems like, and you got to find an underpass or somewhere to go around it. But I believed in that. At least some of the fire stations that was affected. Now, from what I gather, the city has went all out with fire-based EMS. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, we had an ambulance that got wrecked a couple of weeks ago, and we had to get another one because I think it was totaled.
Hope they had insurance.
Yeah. Anyway, the fire, if you can get an ambulance or a fire truck to your house to save your life or her life, yeah, is it worth it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. You know, I wish the other administration and the other council could have worked together and.
It was very divided.
Yeah. And but I was always, well, you know, I'm a public safety supporter. There's no question about that. When police needs equipment, I make sure I help them get the equipment. When the fireman needs their equipment or trucks or anything, I'm right there to help them get it. And but you know, there's been a couple of times, you know, we've had some council people haggle over them ambulances, but they're right now. I hear them every morning. Every morning, every morning I'm over at work. I'm saying somebody's having a bad day when I hear one of them. But they're out all the time. They're out all the time.
But budget-wise, how are they doing?
The last time we was told at one of our council meetings, they was generating some money. So it's.
So we wasn't too far off on that.
No, but the more you do, and the more I think they're going to try to get ambulance in every firehouse, and that way the city's good and covered. You know, they got an ambulance and they got a fire truck. You know, yeah, how much more can you get? But anyway, that's the goal, to get one in every firehouse. Is an ambulance and paramedics.
Now, from what I understand, I haven't kept up on it because I've been out of the loop for a while, but does Delaware County, they're doing the county stuff now?
Yeah, they probably do some city stuff.
Do they? I mean,
yeah,
I don't know.
I
know they got, I was told they got an ambulance up in Albany, so yeah. I don't know how that's working now.
Well, I have no problem with Delaware County.
No, neither do I.
But, you know, it's just one of those situations where two guys couldn't get along, and they had to do something. Yeah.
Well, I know back when my dad was alive and living with us, he couldn't breathe one night, and we called an ambulance, and there was a train and this and that, and when you can't breathe, seconds turns into a long time.
Oh, yes.
And they had to vent him on the way to the hospital when they did get here, and a fire truck showed up too. A police car showed up too, and they had to vent him and all this on the way to the hospital. It's a bad situation. I mean, he made it through that, but it just, you know, if they're held up by a train or something, it could be somebody's life.
Yeah.
What's the city gonna do with all these trains that's stopping and 5 miles long or however long they are?
I ask that question all the time.
Trains mostly do what they
Yeah.
wanna do, don't they?
I would give the engineer of the train a ticket and summons him into court, and if he don't come, go arrest him, you know.
I think
But the federal government.
I think the feds basically said, no, you can't do that. They can do what they
I
want.
still give them a ticket. But anyway, they shouldn't be doing that because, like I said, you know,
Every day.
Yeah. I seen 2 truckers out there just got out of their cab just a cussing and swearing. Oh man, I couldn't.
I was coming back from the west end of town, a friend of mine and I, Saturday, and that train was across the tracks, and he's not that familiar with Muncie. He was driving, so I showed him how to get around to the underpass over there by McCall Park. And there, set off to the side, was a U-Haul truck with the top skin back. The poor guy, I hope he got insurance, but the poor guy tried to go under that underpass and didn't quite make it. Bad day for him.
Yeah. And that's another thing, that underpass down there. That's another thing that we got accomplished. We got that from not flooding. And,
On the
yeah,
Madison.
Yeah, that's another accomplishment we got. And we got Madison paved from the Southway to Weiser paved. You know how Madison was. It was a heck of a road to travel.
Mm.
You know.
Well, I'm glad to see they're paving Centennial.
Centennial's our worst road.
And well, and I hope one of these days, I don't know if, honestly, I don't know if it's state or city, but McGalliard from like down here at Bel Air
That's gonna
out to the bypass.
That's going to happen in the next couple of years.
Oh my, and that's one of the gateways into Muncie.
Yeah.
You get off the bypass and it's like, oh my God, I'm in Muncie.
There's no reason why any gateway to Muncie shouldn't be fixed. Because that's telling people that come into your city what kind of a town you got. And like I said, we should have a new street there in front of Muncie Central, in front of the city hall. Those streets are horrible up through there. And I know they've been paved once, but them things should be kept up. And out in the Ball State area, those roads should be, top notch. You got a college to show off, and you're showing a college off with bad streets. I mean that's my pet peeve,
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, the gateways to Muncie, McGalliard is horrible.
And it's been that way for a long time.
Yeah. Oh, I gripe about it all the time. And
It's horrible, and and when you're in a Jeep, which is a very stiff
Oh, yeah.
suspension anyway, it jars your teeth going through there.
take a semi down there and see what happens. I do
No,
it every day.
I don't have a CDL, but
I do it every day.
I bet it's bad.
Yeah.
I bet it's bad.
Yeah.
So, what else is on your radar for the city council to do here in the near future? Do you have any plans with city council? Do they have an agenda, or just balance the budget, or?
Well,
I haven't been to any meetings in a while.
I hope they do get a balanced budget, because I passed I voted no on budgets that wasn't balanced, and they was robbing Peter to pay Paul. They say, well, we'll make it up over here, and I said, no, it's not balanced. I'm not going to vote for it. So I turned it down. I was one of them that turned it down, and when you start going at your budget and looking at your budget, you should take and crunch all that you can without hurting any work habits that you have to do.
Your services.
Your services, yeah. And usually, somebody comes up to me and gripes about, when you're going to do budget, and I said, well, what services don't you want? We'll cut them. What services don't you want? And you gotta have police and fire. That's a no-brainer
Mhm.
there. And you gotta have good police and fire. You know, the way it is now, our police and our firemen are not getting the pay that they should get, because some of them just leaving and going elsewhere, and because they're getting paid higher rates
Mhm.
elsewhere. But they should be up where the Indianapolis and all those are, you know. But I don't know. That's tells you right there about your city. If you got a good police department and a good fire department, that's what businesses look for.
Mhm.
And your education, you know, your schools and everything. If you have good schools, and of course, you know, they've done a lot of crunching, you know, throwing kids in together, you know, they shut Southside down, moved them in with Central, and shut a bunch of elementary schools down. To me, that wasn't a good move. But you got to do something, because you don't have the money to keep them open. So, but I was all for neighborhood schools.
Mhm.
You know, I think if you go back to those, just like Riley School down there, that was a good little neighborhood school. And Northview over there is a good little neighborhood school. But they done away with a lot of them. So, and that's terrible.
You mentioned the police department, and we have across the country, you've seen it since last year. I don't know why anybody would want to be a police officer anymore with the things that's going on now. I have never heard anybody in Muncie, Indiana, in the government say anything about wanting to defund the police, and hopefully that never happens, because some of these places that are defunding the police, the crime has went way up. Police don't want to be there. They get berated. They're underfunded. They're not appreciated. So a lot of them are leaving in droves. Crime is going up. Some of the places that have defunded the police are now crying and saying, "Oh, you know, the crime's way up. What do we do?" So you've never heard any talk like that in Muncie, I take it.
Well, just look at what's going on in Muncie right now. You're having shootings like we've never had before. Muncie's got a drug problem here,
No.
and Muncie's until you take the head of the snake off, you're never gonna solve that problem.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as long as you got drugs and stuff like that, you'll have shootings and stuff like that.
Well, anybody in law enforcement, and I've heard many a prosecutor say this, that 80 to 90% of crimes, period, was drug/alcohol related. You know, somebody's drunk, somebody's on drugs, they steal, they rob, they assault people, etc., etc. So I believe that. So there is a drug problem here. There's a drug problem everywhere. I mean, it's all over. This neighborhood we're in right now, unfortunately, has got a reputation for drug problems. Muncie's got a reputation for meth problems, and a lot of it is because around here they report the crimes and the meth and things, and some places maybe don't, but it's there. It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Yeah, it's a problem, and it should be dealt with severely, especially by your police department and your judges. Your judges is what really determines.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah. Your judges should have a zero tolerance for somebody that's strike three. Yeah.
I had a couple of years ago somebody steal my car. It was the race car I used. It hadn't even been run yet. Stole it from the fairgrounds out there.
I remember that.
And I tracked it down, found the guy that stole it. And you know what the judge gave him for stealing that car? 40 hours community service for stealing a car. So, where's the deterrence in that?
Yeah. Well, like I said, you know, your I think your law enforcement sometimes are out there with one hand tied behind their back.
Well, they are.
Yeah, and that's a shame too. And we have good police officers.
Mhm.
And we have some that's bad, you know, and we've heard about them in the paper. But there's good people out there in the police department, and I have nothing bad to say about them. I always, like I told you before, I'm a public safety supporter, and they need the equipment to deal with crime in this town. I always try to make sure they get it. And I heard one thing the other day, I hope it's not true, how they're trying to do away with Muncie police reserves. I hope that's not true. That's just, I've had a couple of policemen call me and ask me if that's true, policemen.
Mm-hmm.
And I told them I'd check into it, and nobody's got back with me yet. I don't know if that's the transparency thing going on uptown. Yeah, they want transparency, but when you go ask them questions, you can't get it.
Mm.
You know, I just don't understand that.
That's not good.
No, I've asked that question, and I've asked other policemen the same question. I've asked other city councils the same question. They always get, blowed off. So
Or I'll circle back
Yeah.
to you if you
Yeah.
get that answer.
to me, your reserves are for your events you have that you have to have security. It doesn't cost the city nothing to.
Well, reserves is a force multiplier,
Yeah, and they work for free, so.
and they buy their own equipment.
And they buy their own equipment, and like I said, I don't think, now don't quote me, but I don't think I've ever seen a reserve get any bad trouble. I haven't heard of any reserves, beating anybody up or, anything like that. But I haven't heard it, but we have the regular, the other thing that's been in the paper. But other than that, I think that'd be a bad move on this administration if they do away with the Muncie reserves.
Well, maybe somebody can answer that question for you.
Well,
Hopefully.
I don't think so.
I mean, you're a
It's-
councilman.
it's-
It looks like
it's-
somebody can say, yes, we are, no, we're not.
I just wish they'd say yes or no.
Yeah. I mean,
And you
should
can't
get that.
You can't get nobody to say that.
wow.
I'll have to ask the mayor in public, I guess.
Well, do what it takes.
Yeah,
But you should be able to get an answer.
yeah. But like I say, I've asked city councilmen, and I've asked, other policemen, and they said they get blowed off every time they ask that question, so.
Mm.
So, I hope it's not true, but,
Well, we'll eventually find out, I guess.
yeah,
Hopefully.
yeah. I've been told they've let a bunch of them go,
Really.
yeah.
Wow. So I am glad to see the South Side is getting a new store. What's the name of that?
Gilman's?
Gilman's?
Yeah, Gilman's,
Yeah. And South Side needs things.
yeah,
Everybody goes to the northwest side of Muncie, so now
yeah.
South Side gets something. That's a good thing. And I remember years ago when Willenhans Willenhans Lumber
Mhm.
was out there. That's been a long time ago
Mhm.
on the South Side.
Yeah.
They've been gone for years.
Yeah, the south, what I'd like to see in that south side district is a place for, not in the city limits, but kind of out of the city limits, is a place for trucks to park. You're getting a lot more semis coming into your neighborhoods and parking. And I'd like to see like a big, sleepover place for them, with a restaurant there, stuff like that. People don't realize how valuable truckers are. And
Well,
and right now,
if you eat or get anything, it comes in my truck.
yeah. Well, anyway, they're having trouble finding places to park to sleep and, to get something to
Really?
eat, stuff like that.
So we need a truck stop here in Muncie.
Yeah, I mean, not one in the city limits, but one
No,
on the
but,
outskirts.
yeah.
Yeah, and,
Didn't they have one where the Big Apple was
Yeah.
back in the day?
yeah, that was one they done away with it.
Huh.
They put the Goodwill store in there.
Oh,
And, used to be the Big Apple back then.
yeah.
Yeah, I've eaten there several times.
Oh, I did too, especially, I was working late and going there for breakfast a lot of times on the way home, so yeah, hit that place several times.
Yeah, you're starting to make me feel old now, Roger, talking about old times.
Yeah, that was back in the day. I remember the Big Wheel.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that was another hit late night.
Yeah, Muncie was a booming town.
It was.
Muncie was a booming town.
But, you know, like you said, you had all those big factories and everything was going on.
Yeah.
I remember when I was working at Chevy, I went to a car lot and I was looking at a car, I think of that, and the salesman asked me, he said, "Where do you work?" And I said, "Chevy." "Well, you can buy any car you want." Well, a few years later, when it's starting to lay people off, I was looking at a car, he says, "Where do you work?" "Chevy." You're going to be out of a job soon. So, you know, and it just phased out, you know, over the years. But, you know, Muncie took a pretty hard punch,
Yeah.
but we're still here.
Yeah, like I say, you know, everybody pulling together, and you know, from the health department to the businesses and stuff like that. You know, we're coming out of it. Yeah, we're coming out of it.
That's good. And this economic development thing is that stimulus package. I forget the exact name of it, but that $31 million some dollars.
Yeah.
Hopefully that helps out.
Yeah, yeah. I was glad to see it, but I hope they help the people that need the help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we'll see about that one. Yeah.
Well, it was good having you on the show. Good to be back on Community Focus and doing this again and trying to enlighten myself and other people, our audience.
Yeah, the only bad thing that I have from being a city councilman and being a precinct committeeman and all that is the people that we've lost. You know, we've lost a lot of good people, you know, passing away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they become like my family,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not there no more. You know.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's really what tears at me, is, you know, from being a city council. I used to go talk to people and stuff like that, you know, that when they had their problems, and like I say, and you read in the paper every day, they're just gone.
Yeah.
And I hate that. That's my biggest downfall of being a politician. I really do miss the people that I got acquainted with.
Mm-hmm.
I consider my brothers and sisters,
Yeah.
and they're gone. You know, it's sometimes I want to break down and cry. You know, but
Well, with what I've done, and I'm not a politician, never be a politician, but, you know, I've done the video things and I've worked with several administrations and I met a lot of people, and still there's people come up to me that say hi that I don't know. They'll say, "Oh, I seen you on TV," or "We're friends on Facebook," or whatever, and you know, I like that and having a conversation with them, and I've met a lot over the years, just like you, and you know, they're gone. A lot of the vets, I go to Memorial Day services and Veterans Day services at, you know, out here at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial and the Beach Grove, and I'll tell you, you know, I see every year lose some of those guys, and I miss talking to them.
you know, when you talk about Democrat and Republican, that's something I never, you know, you're a person to me. You're not a Democrat or a Republican. If you was a Republican, I always tried to help out. If you was a Democrat, I always tried to help out. I never let that get in my way. You know, if you called me and I knew you as a Republican, I'm not your enemy, and I hope that I'm not yours.
Unfortunately, there's people like that.
But I understand that, but I'm not
Unfortunately,
like
there is.
that. But if you come to me with a problem, I'll do my best to help you get it solved.
Well, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And when I was contracted by Mayor Cannon back years ago, I was contracted by him to do video work for years, and he told me one time, he says, "I don't know your politics, I don't care, you do a good job." And I'm thinking, that's refreshing to hear. You don't hear that very often. But, and Muncie's always been a volatile town when it comes to politics. And that's unfortunate, because I think more things would have got done
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
if it wasn't so volatile.
Oh, I've had doors slammed in my face and stuff like that, because I'm a Democrat. But I always just thank you and go on down there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. If you come to me with a problem, I'll do my best to help you out. That's how I am. I don't look as a D and an R thing. I look as to get Muncie going.
Well, and I've always said I don't like politics. So just do the job. But
Yeah,
you've done a good job. Obviously, you've been in there, and a lot of times nobody even bothers to run against you. So that has something to say about your character.
I try to do the best I can.
And we thank you for that, sir. Well, Jerry?
And thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, well, I couldn't have a community focus with not have you on the show. We go back a ways, and I plan on having some more folks from the community and the government on the show, and like I said, enlighten people, enlighten me.
Yeah.
So I need enlightened.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for watching Community Focus, and tune in again.